morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to another episode of The Season Keepers, the show where the only two people we recommend keeping for the season is us. My name's Matt, aka Clean Sheet Wipeout.
My name's James, aka FPL Drug.
Well, as you know, we've got 2 game weeks to cover, seeing as they keep throwing in this midweek special. So should we try and remember game week 21, mate, and just jump straight into it?
Let's do it.
Go on then. Right, Everton 0, Newcastle 2.
Wow, what a performance from Callum Wilson. Really led Newcastle here in this game, which we didn't really see coming. Before the game, people predicted Everton to win. People were piling on Digne and Calvert-Lewin. I myself brought in Calvert-Lewin.
Yep, same.
Pretty disappointed, obviously. Clearly, I think I saw some people actually take out Wilson for DCL, which would be particularly painful.
They did, yeah. I've seen quite a few of those. Thankfully, I've got Callum Wilson in my fan team, and obviously there's a bit of money involved, so I'm trying to slowly claw some ground back in that, and Wilson's definitely helping. But yeah, it took me by surprise. I know you obviously bigged up Wilson on the previous pod, so I was quite surprised to not see you bring him in, but maybe it wasn't quite worth the gamble at that point, was it?
No, I had other moves to make, but now he is in my team.
He is, yeah.
And I've benefited from the last game week just gone. So yeah, good value pick for people.
Yeah, you did all right there, and obviously helped by the fact that Jordan Pickford was a bit shit, but what can we say?
Standard.
Right then, moving on, because we've got a hell of a lot to cover. Crystal Palace 1, Wolves 0.
Again, I think this one was a tougher game to call for me. I didn't really see Palace winning. Eze, again, proven that he can perform at a Premier League level. Obviously, he was very good in the Championship, but he's doing the business here in the Premier League. An asset that I think he doesn't really actually think about too much, but is an option as a differential. He's obviously low priced. So if you're looking to gain a bit of ground, and if Palace have a good run, why not? If he can score a goal against Wolves, bring him in. Yeah,
I've been very impressed with Eze this season. I mean, obviously it took him a while to get into the squad, maybe rightly so. Kind of Hodgson slowly bedded him in, but now he's a pivotal part to that. And obviously we'll come on to it, but Zaha got injured in game week 22. So Eze is probably going to be the key man for them if they're going to continue to pick up points now.
Yeah, could be affected by the loss of Zaha, but he's obviously very talented.
Yeah, and on the other hand, obviously Wolves, another game which they kind of failed to perform really. They had their chances. Gaita came out with, I think, 4 saves. Other than that, it's a tricky run for Wolves at the moment. They're not playing in the same manner that we expected them to, are they? From obviously last season, but something still doesn't quite feel right. And until they can get to grips with that, it can't just be Jimenez missing. And obviously they lost Doherty at the end of the season, which we touched on, but something needs to change, I think, for their performances to change.
Yeah, agreed. I don't really have that same confidence I had with Wolves' attack with Jimenez that I do with this attack. There's no real focal point. Obviously Jimenez is quite a big bloke, and you don't really feel that kind of presence with Fabio Silva.
No.
Obviously he's young and he's got stuff to learn. But yeah, you don't feel confident in Wolves. You don't see them scoring many goals. Away at Palace, no goals. You don't really want to be invested in their strikers.
No, not particularly. They've got that new chap, don't they? That they signed in the January transfer window.
Yeah, I've forgotten his name. But he won the pen, I think, in the subsequent game.
Is it Willian?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it might be. Yeah,
it's a Brazilian guy. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but obviously he could potentially change things at Wolves, so it's worth keeping an eye on. But yeah, like you said, I've not been that massively in favour with them. I had Podence at one point, as we all know. He went quite a while ago, and I've not really looked back.
Love that run.
Right, jump on to the next game then, in a game that we all kind of piled into. Me particularly, I captained Gundogan in this game, and it came out with it. Man City 1, Sheffield United 0.
Yeah, a bit underwhelming for you, I think. I think you were a bit high from your Gundogan return the previous game week.
I was, yeah.
And I don't blame you, to be honest. He's playing exceptionally well for his price point in the game. I mean, obviously, in theory, the price point is actually sort of irrelevant. Like, it all depends on where the player. He's obviously playing a more attacking role than he has done previously, which obviously has helped him. In the absence of, say, KDB, he's really stepped up.
Yeah, and this game fucked me over in Sky a bit because obviously we had a bit of pep roulette in both Stones and Cancelo missed out completely. And I wrongly put the armband on Cancelo, thinking, he should be all right. Those that captained Diaz in Sky did really well. I think they got 20 points out of it, as you'd expect, and I got 10. So it's tricky. Plus the fact that 2 out of my 3 were missing. Quite a few people I've seen had Edison and Diaz. So, they've got 30 points there and then from 2 players. So, kind of set up a pretty bad start to the game week for me. And we'll come on to Sky later, but it's not been the best of runs, unfortunately.
No, agreed. I think, with Cancelo, you've got to take the rough with the smooth. You get the peaks, which is in the goal and assist, a clean sheet, and then you get the game where he's just dropped altogether, rested, not dropped. Whereas obviously Diaz, you get that more consistent return with a lower ceiling.
Exactly. And obviously we've seen the return of Emerick Laporte as well. So another one to kind of throw into the mixer.
Yeah, it's not good, is it?
Yeah, it really isn't. Yeah, definitely. I was quite impressed with Sheffield United, to be fair. I thought they defended well, albeit I really don't think Man City came out of third gear probably in this game. They got their goal, and they probably could have got another had they pushed a little bit more, but they felt comfortable. Sheffield United had a chance towards the very end, which had they put away 1-1, with 5-10 minutes to go, could have been interesting. But I was never really expecting Sheffield United to score.
No, but I think they do look more confident as a team. Obviously, they've got a couple of wins under their belt now, which has helped them no end in terms of their attitude on the pitch. Like, their heads aren't down. They're very much motivated right now, especially Chris Wilder as well. He was very obviously downbeat before, but now you can see he's sort of feeling this, and they're very much back in it, to be honest. They're not many points off the next 2 teams, so like they've got a chance. Whereas we were fairly certain they were dead and buried. There is an outside chance they could stay up.
I still think they're dead and buried. In fairness, I think the bottom 3 might be the bottom 3 come the end of the season. I think it's going to be tricky, albeit, Fulham are one of those which could call themselves out. But I think West Brom and Sheffield United are probably down in my
I'm
opinion.
not by no means saying they're not likely to stay up. I'm saying it's merely just a chance. Yeah. Whereas before that, we kind of wrote them off as no chance.
Yeah. No, that's true. Right, well, obviously talking about the relegation candidates, we'll jump on to the other bottom 2 who played each other and didn't really go as either of them wanted. It ended up West Brom 2, Fulham 2.
Quite an entertaining game, to be honest. Dakova Reed, I think a few people had them a few weeks ago, yourself included. Obviously,
of course.
Very cheap budget forward. Maybe a bit premium compared to the Brewsters of this world. But no, a good performance from him. Cavallera, again, scoring. Obviously, he did take a couple of pens, but I think he is on pens now, isn't he? Obviously, Lookman had that kind of saga.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they go with, obviously, the return of Mitrovic as well, because he's getting starts. So I'm not sure. Does Mitrovic now take over, or will Cavallero keep him until he misses? Something, I guess, that'll be debated behind the scenes, and I'm sure Scotty Parker will sort that out. But it's one to keep an eye on.
And another one to keep an eye on is Pereira.
Man's on fire.
Exceptional goal and assist, again returning at a cheap price as well. God knows what he'd be doing if he was playing for, say, an Everton, a Southampton even.
Oh no! Up to that point, when obviously he scored his 13 points, he had scored 39 points in 4 game weeks. It's mad for a player that costs you 5.7 million, like 39 points in 4 game weeks. Can't really complain, can you?
No, you can't. Just so creative. always confident that he's going to get an assist, but he's more than capable of scoring, and he does take quite a few shots in most games as well.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, I think the only thing I was really celebrating in this game, and I guess it's hard to celebrate, but the fact that Johnson got 5 saves. I mean, he was 1 save away from another save point, but it was the only thing I could really cheer on in that game.
Oh, bless you. I was glad I went for Martinez, even though it was the more obvious pick was Johnston, I'd say, Fulham at home. But I just had a feeling about Martinez because he screwed me a couple of times, and I don't want that again.
Yeah, we'll come on to that fucking Villa game, won't we?
True.
From an exciting game to a really dull game that I was actually surprised. Arsenal 0, Man United 0.
Yeah, not too much to talk about, in my opinion. But another strong defensive performance from Arsenal, I guess, is worth noting. I mean, a couple of months ago, we were talking about how much of a shambles they were, and they'd come on leaps and bounds. And Man United are obviously been the form team recently. So credit to Arsenal and Mikel Arteta for turning that around and getting those clean sheets.
No, mainly, definitely.
He's in line with the introduction of Rob Holding, I think.
Yeah, massively. And I think the amusing thing was during this game, David Luiz, his celebration when he blocked Bruno Fernandes's free kick was fucking hilarious. And I think Gary Neville gave him man of the match, obviously because of his performance. But he did quote the fact that celebration kind of edged him over. So one to celebrate. But yeah, I was just a bit miffed. You know, this seems to happen with these kind of top 6, top 8 clashes recently, doesn't it? Like we do get these dull 0-0s where you're kind of expecting it to be a bit of a thriller.
Yeah, it's quite frustrating really, because you get your beer, you settle down, you look forward to the game, and then it's fucking shit.
I know, exactly. And it was at that point that we sat down and I thought, you know what, bit of a shit game, but we've got Saints against Villa to look forward to. I fucking wish I never watched it, mate. Southampton 0, Aston Villa 1.
What a farcical game. 2 obviously key decisions, which I would say are injustices, to be honest. Oh, God.
Honestly, I was raging. And I'm still angry now. And obviously, I'm more angry because of what happened afterwards, which we'll come on to from game week 22. But this was a piss take. Like, we played so well in the first half. Yes, we've got injuries, and obviously we've got a short bench. We've got kids. You know, it's not been our first team as of late. But to have those decisions go against us is fucking deplorable. Like, how can you say that Matty Cash handball is not a fucking handball?
It is literally a dive. I mean, he should get save points for that, because that's a fucking joke. Like, it couldn't be more blatant. Someone was trying to argue, oh yeah, it bounced off his thigh or something, and I was like, no, it's fucking irrelevant. He moves what's his hand doing out here? Like, exactly. Come on.
Honestly, I got into a Twitter debate, and I don't do Twitter debates, but it's the chat from ESPN tweeted about it. Yeah, he tweeted about it, saying obviously, well, you know, the ruling is if it comes off his thigh and bounces off of his arm, that is in a natural position, and the quote natural, then it's that's the reason the decision has gone against not giving a penalty. Well, one, barely see the touch on the thigh, so I think that's irrelevant. And his hands were in a fucking natural position. So he then tried to justify that, and then he went on to say, oh, well, please don't shoot the messenger. Don't fucking tweet that shit because it's the wrong rule.
Yeah, no, exactly. I was so shocked as well. Like, I was just thinking, oh, is he going to send him off? I was like, the penalty was already done in my mind.
The lads on the commentary were all thinking, well, you know, it's going to be a red here. You know, that they've gone back to look at it. They're clearly looking at it. It's clearly a handball. And then suddenly they're like, oh, yeah, nah, play on. Like, what are you fucking talking about?
Yeah, fucking joke.
Oh, and then obviously when Barkley scored, that just put me in a really shit mood. And then the second half, even more controversy with fucking VAR. How was that offside? To me, the lines looked to be level. Matty Cash's arse, in my opinion, was playing him onside.
Yeah, well, yeah, to me it was. Like, I mean, if you really got to pull it about and overanalyze it, it's clearly not in the spirit of the actual original law. Like,
no.
supposed to be clear and obvious. How is that clear and obvious?
Exactly. The fact that you're now and I mean, we've had it all season. It's not just this game. It's been, I remember a Leeds decision. To be fair, Villa have been on the wrong end of these decisions as well. But the technology, to me, isn't accurate enough to determine if someone's a millimetre offside. And it shouldn't be, because a millimetre should not be fucking justifying whether someone scored or not. That's just against the spirit of the game.
Yeah, well, exactly. I feel like while VAR is a good thing in terms of, say, goal line technology and other decisions, it's like they've just moved the controversy really from what contentious like penalty decisions to now it's just offsides that get over analysed. I think.
Yep.
And I was actually pro VAR when they introduced it, but now after like this season, based on not just Saints but everyone, it just sucks the life out of the game.
It's horrendous, and I don't know whether it's VAR or whether it's the manner in which it's being used by the professionals in this country, the refereeing standards. Because, like you said, I was kind of pro VAR when it got brought in. I thought it was used really, really well in the tournaments. But as soon as it's come over here, the officials behind it are fucking useless.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think it's the latter, like what you just said. It's not the technology. The technology is okay. It's the way they're applying it in terms of it has to be that precise. If it's 1 millimeter over, it's offside. It shouldn't be that. It should have like a higher level of tolerance, like a threshold for it to become offside.
Yeah,
it shouldn't be literally on lines, basically on top of each other. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm still pretty sure. I think we've spoken about it before, but I'm sure there's that ruling in Holland where if the lines are touching, then it's deemed as onside.
Yeah, exactly. What happened to favouring the attacker if it was level or close?
No, exactly. It's gone out the window. And I hate having these VAR debates, but because it feels tiresome. But at the end of the day, if it's consistently happening, then why? Because nothing seems to be done to like stamp it out. And it's turning people off the game. That's the problem. Right, I think we should move on from the Saints game because we've got another one to moan about later. Moving on to the Sunday, it was Chelsea 2, Burnley 0, and the return of Alonso.
Yeah, both fullbacks, to be honest, excelled in this game, Aspi and Alonso. Fair play for Tuchel for favouring them over Chilwell and James. Not the obvious decision to do. I think maybe more Chilwell and Azpilicueta for me. But Alonso clearly can still do a job as well.
Well, in fairness, Aspie was part of a back three, wasn't he? And then it was more Hudson-Odoi that was kind of the right wing back. But Azpilicueta, he's got that, I think, advanced role with the way that they're playing, which allows him to bomb forward. And we saw it in, the next game as well. And he's always had it in him. But yeah, now to see him get consistent minutes, for me, I think Azpilicueta potentially is the one to get on, because other than Rudiger, I think he's going to be the most nailed, if you can call it nailed, in that back five, I guess you can call it now with Chelsea.
I think so. I was wondering if you think Rudiger had much to play in sort of the Frank Lampard era in terms of squad harmony.
Yeah, I think with the stories I've read, and albeit I've signed up to The Athletic before Christmas, I think it was £1 a month, so I thought, why not? Some brilliant articles on there, but there was a story about Chelsea that came out, and it does sound like Rudiger is quite an influence behind the scenes and was potentially an influence, kind of causing a bit of turmoil within the dressing room. And maybe Frank tried to ease that a little bit by bringing Rudiger back in, obviously for Zuma. But I think it was probably too little too late. And obviously we saw with Tuchel coming in, Rudiger's straight back into his lineup. And I think he's one of the first names on the team sheet.
Yeah, obviously he's 4.5 million, which is worth shouting about.
Yeah.
Budget pick for a Chelsea defender, that's exceptional value.
Oh, massively. And with the fixtures that they've got coming up as well, I think it's brilliant value for a Chelsea defender. The only problem is these doubles that have been announced are potentially swaying people away from making those kind of moves if you're planning that way. But yeah, I think for Sky in particular, I'm probably going to, actually I say probably, I'm 100% going to have a Chelsea defender, I reckon. Just the passing tiers that they're picking up now for Sky, they're always there. It's a bit like Man City, you expect them, if they keep a clean sheet, it's going to be 10 points. So I think that's definitely worth considering. It's just which one you want to get on. Next game was a bit of a surprise. I thought, it'd be maybe closer than this, but it ended up being Leicester 1, Leeds 3, and a hole from Bamford.
Yeah, very impressive performance from Bamford. A week too late for me. I captained him the week before.
Yeah.
But fair play. He's still in my team. I didn't take him out. Yeah, great performance by Leeds. I actually ran a poll on the Season Keepers Twitter account as to what the result would be. People went with Leicester for this game. I've personally found it quite difficult to call. But yeah, Leicester was the favourite pick. But as it turns out, Leeds obviously very unpredictable. And they came away with a valuable 3 points away at Leicester.
They did, yeah. They played brilliantly. And like you said, Bamford was exceptional. Incredibly unselfish at the end, obviously, to lay it on a plate for Harrison, when arguably Bamford probably could have shot and easily scored in the position he was in. But that look that he gave about 40 yards out, he knew Harrison was coming. So he just lays it across. It's one of those dickhead moves that you play on FIFA when you've gone past your mate's defence and you just tap it across and he passes it into an empty net. I fucking hate those.
Sweaty, isn't it? What they call it? The kids.
Yeah, sweaty.
Fair play to him for shouting out that he's got himself in his FPL team as well.
Oh, I know. Yeah, that was hilarious. I loved it. And obviously Rafinha, another return, an assist, just continues to look so sharp. And he's around that kind of budget pick, in and around the Souček price. And I've got him, and I'm thoroughly enjoying him having at the moment. I think him and Bamford look the two that you probably want to be on for Leeds.
Oh, agreed. I think the train is well and truly underway, and now I'm starting to look at the train.
Of course you are.
How cheap it is. You gotta always look at your options and admit when you're potentially wrong about players.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. I thought it was a bit of a herd mentality going towards him. But yeah, I'm looking at him. But
yeah, good. Yeah, this feels like the kind of season at the moment where the budget picks are the better picks. I mean, I've already got I think like 6 million in the bank, and I don't want to spend it.
The amount of money I'm seeing in people's banks, like 10 mil I've seen.
I know, it's mad, isn't it? Absolutely mad. But that's the game at the moment. When you've got the likes of Salah not returning, you just look elsewhere. Right, and well, I say Salah not returning. He returned in the next game, didn't he? It was West Ham 1, Liverpool 3.
Nicely done. Yeah, finally Salah delivers. Obviously, I didn't captain him, even though I've captained him basically every other week. But that is sod's law. But obviously, he's that price for a reason. Over the course of the season, he will score X amount of points, 150 points plus. Easy. Dawson off the bench for me, which was quite jammy.
Jammy fuck.
Yeah, I think I started Kufal. But yeah, due to someone missing out, I can't remember who, Dawson came in and I was delighted.
You did. I was fuming because not only did you get those Dawson points, but in Sky, I keep referring to Sky, but I think I'm enjoying it more this season. I don't have Salah because obviously the day that I was bringing in a Liverpool player, Salah was benched. So I gambled and went Robbo rather than Salah. And for a moment, I thought, okay, you can almost cover Salah's points because I'd captained him. Didn't keep the clean sheet because obviously Dawson scores late. So I ended up getting 10, I think, rather than the potential 20 that I could have had from him. Whereas obviously Salah got, I think it was 18 points in Sky, ended up on 36, and so many people flew ahead of me after that point. But yeah, this was the 1 week that if you kept with Salah, you did well. But I still don't think it justifies for the blanks that we had previously.
No, yeah, over the course of the last sort of 8 games, you would have probably been better off not being on him. Yeah. But I maintain that if you have him throughout the entire season, it does sort of work.
Yeah. No, it's fair. I won't be getting rid of him because, like you said, if he does go off, it's going to hurt you. And that was a mistake I made in Sky, and I won't be making that one again. So same in FPL. At least if you've got him and he holds, yeah, you might not captain him, but you've got half the points. So
exactly, and with so many premiums out, I think you've got to have like at least one or two of them.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
no KDB, so might as well.
Right, and let's move on to the final game of Game Week 21, and a game that I think has Spurs fans in a bit of disarray. It was Brighton 1, Tottenham 0.
Yeah, a bit of a surprise. I was looking forward to this game, but yeah, disappointed me FPL wise.
Spurs were shit. Honestly,
yeah.
I don't understand the tactics that are going on behind the scenes at the moment. Yeah, I know Kane's out, but Spurs were so poor, and Son looked isolated. Even the changes that Tottenham made didn't seem to create any attacking threat till maybe the last 5-10 minutes. And by then it's too late. Brighton defended exceptionally at that point, and Tottenham just looked bereft of ideas.
I was just about to say that, actually. Yeah, they look really sluggish and devoid of ideas, is what I was going to say. Basically the same thing. But yeah, it's what stood out when you're watching the game. You felt like you had no confidence in them going forward at all. Well, they weren't even going forward.
No, and obviously we saw Gareth Bale started in this game. Looked so poor. He's off. I think he's been a marquee signing. There's all sorts of debate about it, but it's not working out, and he doesn't look fit. I think the 2 years that he has basically had off at Real Madrid has ended him in terms of any top flight action, I think, for me.
It's sad to see, because I was expecting quite big things from him coming back to the league, and I think he is in quite relatively good shape, but he's clearly just out of form, to say the least.
Massively.
Match fitness, he's way off the pace.
Yeah, and it's a real shame, because, like you said, it generated that excitement. And I think Spurs fans got excited by the fact that they had managed to seal the deal on Bale. It's just not working out, and there are rumours that he might go back, but it also seems like is it Reguilon? I think I read rumours the other day that he might be returning to Real Madrid, which seems odd, because I thought he was playing really well.
I was going to say, that's strange. He's been doing well. He's been good.
Yeah. Whether those are true, it might just be Twitter rumours, but one to keep an eye on, that's for sure. Right, let's jump into Game Week 22 then, and obviously it was straight in. I think we had about 24 hours to sort our teams, and then another set of games. And the first game was that win that we spoke about. It was Sheffield United 2, West Brom 1.
Yeah, fantastic result for Sheffield United. A crucial result for Sheffield United. Obviously, West Brom well in and around them. They lost this, then they would be almost guaranteed dead and buried.
Definitely. I thought they played really well. Obviously, Billy Sharp getting on the score sheet. Just love the guy. He played well for Southampton. I thought when West Brom scored initially with Matty Phillips, obviously you sent me a message. You got a mate called Matty Phillips, so every time he comes up, you'll message me over. But yeah, I thought, oh, here we go. That's good. West Brom have got the goal that they might sit back. They really need the win. Johnson clean sheet. Yeah, I'll be fine. Then instantly, obviously, Bogle steps up with a goal. He's performing really well, I think, recently for Sheffield United, and probably has been partly down to their upturn in form, in my opinion.
Pretty cheap as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he's only 4.3 million.
Yeah, that price, if they get a decent run, I mean, they're clearly in form. If you're going for form over fixtures and you need a budget pick, but obviously we've got these doubles, which will be coming up later.
That's the thing, and I think nobody's really going for the budget picks at the moment, because we don't need to, because we've got so much money in the bank. These players are just, they're missing out. But yeah, I thought Bogle played really well. Egan played particularly well, in my opinion. I thought he looked pretty sharp. And Sheffield United got the win that they needed. I don't see it changing things, like I've said, but it was the win that, kind of helped them a little bit, maybe provide a little bit of momentum, and at least, give someone to get excited about. But had they lost this game, that was it.
Oh, yeah, certainly. Bit worrying for Big Sam, though.
Yeah, I know. I heard that Big Sam came out and said that they'd had a meeting, I think it's prior to the West Brom game. It's It's not quite right, is it? Because he's never been relegated, has he?
No, but this could be the first time.
It's going to happen. Unfortunately for West,
the papers
yeah.
love it.
I know. Unfortunately for West Brom fans, I think it's going to happen, and maybe Big Sam is now realizing that, and is probably a bit worried about his own record, which is selfish, but he would be.
I mean, his ego will go through the roof if he keeps them up.
Fucking massively. Can you imagine? Like, they get 5 wins out of 5 at the end of the season, stays up by a point.
United beating Liverpool.
I know, madness, honestly. Right, well, the second game of the day was a rather humorous one to watch. It was Wolves 2, Arsenal 1 in completely a game of two halves.
I mean, I'll let you talk about this. You watch this game.
Oh, mate. Arsenal were brilliant in the first half. They should have been 3 or 4 up. Saka was exceptional. Played really, really well. Had a goal disallowed, hit the post. I thought, all right, Saka's going to get me off. He should have got a hat-trick. Pepe then obviously managed to basically work his way through 3 Wolves defenders.
I saw the goal. Yeah, exceptional goal.
Really good goal.
Yeah, fair play to him.
It shows that he's got the technique and he's got the talent. It just needs to be more consistent. And we've spoken about this before. I think Pepe would be a really good asset if he was consistent. And obviously Lacazette provided the assist, but Pepe did all the work. After that, things started to change. Arsenal seemed to capitulate, in all honesty, and Leno's sending off has to be one of the most hilarious sendings off I've ever seen.
Yeah, I saw the highlights of it. He just smacks it out of play.
He does. He knows.
I don't know what he was thinking, to be honest. But
honestly, as soon as he punches it out of play, he's like, "Yeah, I'm done. Like, I'll see you later. I'm off." And
just had to out, I think.
Well, yeah, exactly. And the fact that they were already down to 10 men at that point, like, it's such a stupid thing to do. And yeah, like, we've skipped one, but obviously David Luiz is sending off. I initially thought, yeah, that's it. It's a red. Like, but the more I look at it, it's an accidental contact, and I really don't think he should be sent off for it.
I'm agreeing with you in that one. There's minimal contact, and yeah, as you say, it clearly wasn't deliberate.
No, and fair enough, give the pen, but don't send him off. Like, give him a yellow for the contact. But yeah, I know he made no attempt to play the ball, but in my opinion, he didn't really make an attempt to play the man. And I think obviously we've got another decision which we'll touch on shortly, but that decision has subsequently been overruled, whereas this one hasn't. So Luiz's red card still stands. Just feels wrong. Feels wrong to me. But then obviously Neves put away the pen, and then Moutinho scored a wonderful goal.
Oh, he certainly did. I actually saw a video of Moutinho on Twitter with Cristiano Ronaldo. I don't know if you've seen that.
No.
Basically, he was going to take a pen on like the European championships, and he wasn't confident enough to take it. But then, like, Cristiano's like, take it, you can do it, in Portuguese, obviously. And he gives him the confidence, and he goes up and smashes it in.
Nice. Okay, fair enough.
It just went around on Twitter, made me think of it.
No, good. Yeah, but obviously, I think this kind of papers over some of the cracks for Wolves. It's a win that I don't think they expected to get against Arsenal. In my opinion, I don't think they deserved to get against Arsenal either. And if it wasn't for Arsenal falling apart, things could be a little bit different.
Exactly. Obviously, the Reds changed the game. But yeah, they'll take that all day long with Wolves, and it's still 3 points. It counts all the same.
Sometimes you need a bit of luck, and we didn't have any fucking luck in the next game.
Oh, fucking hell. A sore subject for me.
I don't even want to say the score. It's
obviously I live in Manchester and work with people that support Man United.
So, my head office is in Manchester.
Yeah, I came onto a Teams call, and he had his background with the 9-0, with the list of scores.
Absolute dickhead.
Yeah, it hurt. But the decisions hurt more in this game. Yeah. Unbelievable. Shea Adams offside. Like, you thought Ings was bad. This is even worse.
I know. It's mad. Like, I guess we should start from the beginning, but you look at the squad, and I was a little bit worried. Obviously, we had Kane Ramsey starting at right back. We've got no one there to cover with Walker Peters out. We've sent, I think, Valerie and Vokins on loan. Obviously, didn't want them as cover. So Ramsey jumps in. I thought, okay, he could be targeted, Rashford. And then it was Jankovic that obviously stepped in to centre midfield with Romeu and Diallo. He had handed in a transfer request, or at least threatened one through his agent. I think it was a week ago, saying that, he wasn't being considered for first team action. He gets thrown in. 78 seconds later, he puts in a fucking challenge like that.
Yeah, Russia blood to the head. What was he thinking? I mean, it's so reckless as well. It's not just like a slightly bad challenge, like he's just like a slide tackle gone wrong. It's horrific. He's miles up onto Tomini's leg, and obviously you see his legs.
Yeah,
horrendous. I was fuming, to be honest, with the kid.
Like, don't get me wrong, he does not deserve the abuse that he got online. I think that's disgusting.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you're given that opportunity. You're supposed to be a professional footballer. You can't then go in hot-headed 78 seconds into a game and let your team down like that.
You'd think you'd be mindful for at least the first 5 minutes just to not even try and get a yellow. Never mind a fucking red.
I know, exactly. And at that moment, I thought, right, it's going to be tough. I get it. But we've had this before. We'll sit back and, I'll accept 2 or 3-0. And it just went downhill. There was, I think it was at 4-0, 4-5-0. Bruno hadn't even returned yet. And it was already looking tough. And to see, obviously, like you then mentioned, Che Adams, his goal that is given offside. How the fuck is that offside?
Yeah. But it boggles the mind. Like, everyone, that was basically what everyone was tweeting. Like, it's a joke. Like, that's never offside. Like, I think, like, even the way they draw the lines as well, I swear it's flawed.
Oh, I know. I was so angry by that point, and I never turn off. I'll never, like, leave a Saints game early, or I'll never turn off. I was so close to just turn the TV off and watching something else, because the way things were going, you just had that feeling that it was going to get worse.
Well, yeah, exactly. I was tempted just to put on fucking see Callum Wilson play.
Yeah, I know, exactly. That would have been probably the better thing to do, but no, I'm stuck with it. And then it goes to 5-0. It goes to 6-0, and you're thinking, all right, okay, right, settle down, boys, fuck's sake. And then the moment where, in my opinion, Martial dives. He tries to initiate the contact, thinks the contact's coming, goes down. And yeah, a pen's given. Obviously, Mike fucking Dean, of course it is. But then it goes to VAR, and me and I think everybody across the community were thinking, well, they've seen the replay over and over and over again. He doesn't touch him. It can't be, he's going to obviously rescind the penalty, and then that'll be fine, carry on. For him to then give the red card, I think we were all as shocked as Bednarek was.
Yeah, well, obviously, as Bednarek's going off the pitch, he says, like, Martial admitted that he didn't touch him. They want a foul, like.
Exactly. Now, should referees listen to what a player is telling them if they're trying to be, sporting and saying, look, I tried to initiate the contact, but then at the same time, if he does that, surely he then has to book Martial for diving.
Arguably, yes. I don't think, obviously, your manager, like the Man United manager, would be, obviously, Ollie wouldn't be pleased.
No.
Because that would cost his team a goal. But
and I think I'll name him now.
In terms of the ethics of the game.
No, that's true. Well, I'll name him now, but I think Rob Pick hit the nail on the head. He said it in the Slack channel, and then James from Planet FPL tweeted it out. But Rob Pick mentioned that VAR should not be used to justify a dive. And in this situation, it has justified Martial going down by both giving a penalty and giving a red card.
Exactly. He hit the nail on the head there, because I saw that comment as well. And we're enabling diving.
Yeah.
It's not, you'd think it would eradicate it, but it's.
Exactly. Like, not only has diving not been clamped down this season, I've seen very little yellow card. I'd like to see the stats, but I've personally seen very little yellow cards for dives. And occasionally when a free kick is given the other way, you just see the ref completely ignore the fact that they could give a yellow card, and they play on. Well, you're not going to fucking stamp diving out until you start giving yellow after yellow after yellow.
Exactly. I remember Planet FPL bring this up not long ago, and there's only been one or two since then, and so it's still definitely in single figures in terms of this season.
Yeah.
The booking simulation.
Oh, I know.
And it needs to be stamped out because it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's so wrong. And obviously at that point, Bruno then steps up, gets his return. People have captained him. Most of us didn't. And then we just kind of implode. And at that point, when it went 7, I almost had that gut feeling that it was going to be 9 because, you know, why not? The best way to get people to stop talking about the last 9-0 is get beat 9-0 again.
Yeah. Oh God. I mean, I'm glad it wasn't 10.
Oh, honestly, I've not been that depressed about a Saints game since that Leicester result. And albeit on reflection, and the more I talk to people about it, it's a completely different 9-0 because we had situations go against us. It's not our full strength team. On the night, it could have been so different. Like Adams, for instance, misses a sitter that Walcott puts across for him, and that would have made it, I think, 4-1. So, you know, it could have been slightly different, bit of confidence there. But no, it was a tough night.
Yeah, agreed. The circumstances are what sort of played into that result's hands, really.
Yeah.
I think Leicester is a much worse result.
No, I sincerely hope that we go into this weekend and put 2 or 3 past Newcastle and just put it behind us, because everyone bangs on about the fact that our turn in form came immediately after the last 9-0. Well, it didn't, because both me and you attended the Man City games, didn't we? And obviously, we went away to Man City. I came up to visit you. We went to the Man City game. We lost 2-1 there, despite leading 1-0 for a mass amount of time. We then lost to City again. And I think that was in the league at their place again. And then we lost to Everton at home. And that was a poor Everton side. And it was at that point that we, you know, changed the way that we were both playing and approaching games. And, you know, our form turned. But I really hope that we can kind of put this term of form behind us, because we're losing games consistently now, and it's a real worry. I know we've not got the squad at the moment and the depth. We've not even spoken about it yet, but we brought in Minamino, which I think is a brilliant signing for half a season when you've got Walcott out. So he might change things, but it's worrying.
It is, but I do understand, like, with the sort of players he's got out, it's tough for him. And yeah. I feel confident in Hassan Hüttl's sort of tactics going forward. It's mainly just the injuries that really hurt us there.
Agreed, yeah. I don't doubt Hassan Hüttl. I think, yeah, he'll turn it around, and he's got passion for the club, and that's what we want to see.
Yeah, exactly. I love it.
Right, let's move on then. Enough of the 9-0. We're going to hear about it for another 2 seasons, so it's fine. Newcastle 1, Crystal Palace 2.
Now, very happy with Callum Wilson. Assist to Lord Voldemort. And another assist for Eze.
It was, yeah.
And a good away win for Palace as well.
Yeah, 2 very surprising goal scorers as well in Cahill and Riedewald. Yeah,
not your usual picks. I'm sure hardly any listeners are on them. But yeah, credit to Palace. Whenever you don't expect them to get results, they seem to get results. I didn't really have them down to beat Wolves, to be honest. Sort of called it more as a draw.
Yeah.
And I expected Newcastle in this game.
So did I.
Based on performance against Everton.
Yeah, I thought Newcastle would potentially come out with the 3 points again. Obviously, we saw Zaha get injured, and I think Hodgson's confirmed in his press conference today that it's a hamstring injury, so he could be out for some time. Yeah,
my girlfriend texted me. She's got him in her team. So.
I love how Storm is keeping an eye on press conferences for Zaha.
Yeah, literally a girl that doesn't even care for football is now, because of us, got dragged into FPL.
I mean, honestly, yeah, even Ali was trying to ask me about fucking fantasy transfers and stuff today because she's doing all right in the league. And I was telling her that you got to make your own decisions. So we'll see what she comes up with this week.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on to Wednesday's games. And as expected, City kept another clean sheet, and it was Burnley 0, Man City 2.
Yeah, I mean, we've been saying it now for a couple of weeks that Man City defence is clearly the way to go.
Yeah.
Double at least, I'd say. Triple up, obviously, you are a little bit more exposed, but then you reap those rewards in games such as these.
Yeah.
Also, it gives you coverage if, say, a Cancelo drops out or a Stones. Obviously, Diaz is the most nailed out of the three, but you don't have those kind of attacking threats that
No,
you do with
like you say, I think DS is the most nailed. Cancelo probably has the highest ceiling out of the three of them. I gambled on Cancelo captain this week, and you bastard text me at halftime like, "Yep, prepare for the Cancelo coming off in the 58th minute." He almost fucking did.
Oh, it made my day.
So
don't own him in Sky, don't own him in FPL, so he's been hurting me.
I was sweating it. Whereas obviously Gundogan got another assist, so continues to pick up the points for me. I can't complain, and I think he's now heavily owned. He's up to 20% ownership. Still only 5.9 million for a Man City midfielder that is in such good form.
Bargain. Great delivery for the goal. Good finish from Sterling. I think it was Sterling, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm questioning why I don't have him, to be honest, which is something you don't really normally think about when you take Gundogan. Typically, he's the sort of pick that you would associate with a casual, but obviously he's playing very well in a sort of a different role for Pep at the moment, and he is exceeding expectations, and you can't really ignore him just based on his cheap price. Like, just because you got 8 million to spend doesn't mean you have to go to a Madison. Obviously, that would be a good pick as well.
Yeah,
but there's no shame in going down to Gundogan and getting those points.
No, exactly. And in this game, it was quite an interesting lineup. We saw, obviously, the debate has always been, well, if Laporte starts, who does he replace in DS or Stones? We saw all three start with obviously Cancelo with them. And it was interesting, really interesting to watch, because I think it's been happening recently anyway. And I saw Zinchenko kind of do a similar role. But when Man City were going forward, it was effectively a back three of those three. And Cancelo was a midfielder, which is why, he's arguably got easily the highest ceiling. But then when they came back and they were defending, Cancelo would then slot in at right back and Laporte was a left back. So, albeit I think it took people by surprise to see all three start, I think it works. And I can see it probably happening more and more, given the likes of Mendy and Walker aren't necessarily getting the minutes for Man City at the moment.
That's a good observation, to be honest, and it makes me more anxious about not owning Cancelo when he's playing that far forward. I mean, he's enough of a threat at sort of like wing back, but when he's even further forward, obviously his chance of returns are going to be increased.
Yeah. Whereas I think the only standout player for me for Burnley, and we've spoken about him a lot this season, but neither of us have owned him yet, is Nick Pope. He made 4 saves in this game, a couple of brilliant stops, I think, to stop City, and definitely in people's minds, given Burnley have now been announced as that double game week 24.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with a double game week, you want a player that will play in both games, and you'll get that with Pope. I mean Pope. Obviously, Burnley's players and team selection is relatively consistent. However, obviously, you want those save points, and then with those save points, you get bonus points alongside obviously a clean sheet. So it would be a good decision to obviously get on Nick Pope. He's not that expensive, really. No. I think he's like 5.4, isn't he?
Yeah, he's 5.5 million. Went up last night.
Brilliant.
Yeah, went up last night. But it's mainly because obviously we've spoken about how expensive he was to start the season. But now that we've got the money in the bank to spend that little bit extra, I think that players like Nick Pope, their ownership is just going to shoot up.
Yeah, I mean, fuck it. Like, he's getting sort of 10 pointers. Like, you're happy if bloody Mo Salah gets that, so why not pay 5.5 for Nick Pope?
Exactly. He's already hit 100 points for the season as a goalkeeper.
That says it all. Him and Martinez are the two standout keepers, to be honest.
Yeah, massively. Right, let's jump on to the next game. And typically a massive haul for Justin owners. Annoyingly, I'm not one of them. It was Fulham 0, Leicester 2.
Now, something I'd like to talk about is sort of Madison and Barnes. It's very much like I've seen on Twitter, like people seem to get on the wrong one at the wrong time. I
Yeah.
think I saw a lot of people bringing in Barnes for this game week, and
Yeah.
obviously Madison is the one to return this time.
Yeah.
So I think, pick one and just try and sort of stick with them for a little bit. It's hard with Barnes though, because he does tend to get benched quite a bit.
Absolutely glorious assist from Madison for Justin's goal. The way he brings it down, takes his touch, looks up, sees the run. Why Justin is making that run from left back all the way through the middle, like completely untracked to slot in is madness. But it's obviously something that they've worked on. And now that obviously we've got Pereira starting at right back, which is someone we spoke about previously, with Castagna being injured, could we see this more often?
Potentially. I'm not sure if it'll be as easy to do against, say, Man City or other teams, but I mean, Fulham have been strong defensively recently, so maybe it could be a good tactic, and we're certainly being punished with these sort of James Justin returns across the season.
It's frustrating because I've obviously owned Wesley Fofana, and I got the wrong one. And it was at the point where I saw, and stupidly, it was the point where I saw Pereira was training, and I thought, right, okay, I'll hold off and I'll go the other way. I saw Fofana was getting chances in the box, and then it's felt like it's been 3 months since Pereira was training for him to then come back. So it's my own mistake, and every time Justin scores or gets a clean sheet, I'm just being punished.
You are. Shall we talk about Fulham? Obviously, they have a double as well.
They do.
Two assets, obviously, Adamola Lookman, Mitrovic, whether he starts both games. If he does, obviously, potential good option, could return. Obviously, Lookman, 5 million, very cheap. I've transferred him out recently before the announcement. Yes, I've still got Anguissa, but which in fairness, he could do something over a period of 2 games.
We all know about the Lookman and Anguissa show, don't we? So
yeah, that treat. The show went well. Not that I expected it to.
I think another Fulham player that will be heavily owned, and actually quite a lot of people already have him, is Areola. Like, well, actually, no, I say that. See, this is where the Twitter bubble comes in, because I look at Twitter and I see loads of people have got Areola, and I'm like, oh, they're prep for the double game week. I've just looked at his ownership. Have a guess what he is.
Wow, 2%.
2%.
Yeah, that's fuck all.
That's the Twitter bubble. Save tiers. I mean, he obviously got friggin' 10 points against Brighton, so he's got it in him. Their double game week is against Everton and Burnley away. So they move on to a game that thoroughly enjoyable to watch, and how it ended with the score it did, I don't know, but it was Leeds 1, Everton 2.
Yeah, decent game again. Obviously, Pickford dropped for Olsen.
I think he was injured.
Oh no, injured wasn't he? Yeah, he went off. Yeah. But six saves for Olsen. Very impressive.
And a couple of saves were exceptional. There was a moment towards the end of the second half where I think it was Rafinha twice, and then another player tried to get in the action, but it was like a triple save.
Yeah, I thought it was in. Like his shot stopping was quite impressive. Like Pickford maybe would have fumbled that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to say, but
he wouldn't have even saved the first one, mate.
Straight for his hands.
Obviously, we were very happy, both of us, to see DCL return. Got his first goal coming back. I was particularly impressed with the partnership of Rafinha and Bamford again, both returning. So, like we've said before, I think those two are probably the ones that you want to be on, plus maybe a Leeds defender if you wanted the triple up. But I think Rafinha and Bamford are enough.
I'd say those two are enough. I think the defense is just too unpredictable in terms of return, other than, say, Dallas.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas for Everton, we saw Josh King make an appearance in the last 10 minutes and came on for Alex Iwobi. I think that's quite a good signing for Everton.
I think it's an excellent signing. I think it's what they needed. They didn't really have much cover up front with if they missing DCL and Richarlison. But yeah, King, he can play either side, any position across the front, free. slots, to be honest. So
exactly that. I genuinely think in the weeks to come, we could potentially see King, DCL, and Richarlison as the front three.
I think so. It's the sort of thing you'd have on FIFA, like just three decent, pacey forwards.
Exactly, just completely shithouse with pace. And then, that's how you get goals. But I think it could be a really rewarding signing for them. And I'm looking forward to seeing how he gets on.
Oh, yeah, same. And at 5.5 million, there's value to be had there.
Yep, massively. Right. And then jumping on to another game, which, again, the result took me by surprise, but there was a tactical approach that West Ham took, which I think gave them the win, to be fair. It was Aston Villa 1, West Ham 3, and the return of one particular Jailings.
Yeah, Jesse Lingard got everybody talking. People were talking about how can I get Lingard in. I think Disabled Luke joked about taking out Salah. He's like, when you hovering over Salah to Lingard, you know it's time to go to bed.
Yeah. I listened to Planet FPL's one of their pods earlier, and Sudge is already adamant that he'd now go Lingard over Souček. So
it's a brave one, but I think potentially more consistent. I mean, Souček's returns are so sort of erratic. You can't call them. It's a nightmare. You can bench a Hall quite easily.
Yeah, and I think Lingard's going to start. It's likely to be Antonio, Lingard, and another, probably Bowen, and like Ben Rama kind of in behind. So it's an interesting one to see how that's going to develop, because yes, Martinez probably should have saved both of Jesse Lingard's goals. I think particularly the second one, it was poor. Just go straight through him. But he took them well, and obviously Antonio got 2 assists. Souček got his goal. I thought he was, again, brilliant. Once again, I benched him, but I think it was more because I just didn't have a slot for him, and thankfully everybody else returned again. But the one tactical approach that West Ham took was they doubled up on Jack Grealish. Instead of playing Bowen at right mid, they played Fredericks, and obviously Fredericks is a right back. So in defending, they were able to double up on Grealish and basically isolate him. The only time Grealish appeared in the game was for his assist for Watkins, and it's when he then moved completely over to the other side to try and get away from that double up.
Yeah, exactly. Great tactics by West Ham, and it's the right thing to do because it's just so important to Villa, and they nullified him excellently.
Oh yeah, Matt, I think it's genuinely the worst performance I've seen from Aston Villa in the last 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, and they've been good recently, in fairness to them. But yeah, credit to West Ham for.
Yeah, they have. And to be fair, obviously Villa have got Arsenal this weekend. Now, Leno's suspended. Matt Ryan is supposedly injured. Could feature, but he hadn't been training. I've not seen the press conference from Arteta, so he might have said something about him. But if that's not the case, they've got that young lad in goal, and I think Villa could profit.
I've seen an article earlier saying that Matt Ryan is in line to sort of start, so I think he will start. But even with him starting, I think there's still potential for Villa to get returns.
Well, yeah, Arsenal. He's not going to be match sharp. We don't know how well his training's gone behind the scenes. So the fact that they've not got Leno, who has been brilliant for them, just definitely opens the doors. And Arsenal aren't going to be the type of team where they double up on players because they want to go forward. So we could probably see the likes of Grealish and Watkins annoy us non-owners again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on Grealish, but yeah, quite a few people on Watkins in the community and on obviously the game. So it's frustrating.
Exactly. Right. And then the game that what felt like most of the community, probably most of FPL, captained Mo Salah. Thankfully, I didn't. It was Liverpool 0, Brighton 1.
Yeah, just agonising. It just never felt like it was going to happen.
No, it really didn't.
Normally, you've got that little bit of faith in the back of your mind that like the returns are coming, he'll come, and it's still 10 minutes left, he'll get something. Not today. It felt like Son against Brighton as well. So credit to Brighton. 2 really impressive victories here. Spurs and bloody Liverpool. That's a credit to them. Like you mentioned that actually before these 2 games about them defensively.
Well, that's what put me off captaining Salah. And yeah, I was scared about the EO, like people bang on about the expected ownership. The fact that the majority had captained him, I think it was like 150, 180% or something. So had he hold, I would have seen a massive rank drop because I was only on him as a single. But watching that Brighton game against Spurs put me off captaining Salah, which is why I gambled on Cancelo, and obviously didn't pay off as much as I wanted it to, but he still got the clean sheet. And other than the Salah chance at the beginning of the game, where he almost, in my mind, thinks he's offside. Normally you see him putting that chance away and he puts it over the bar. Other than that, Sanchez made one save in the game.
That speaks volumes. They didn't look threatening at all, to be honest, which is the same, similar to the Spurs game, to be honest. Brighton did the same job that they did to Spurs on Liverpool. And it's worrying for Liverpool. They're dropping a lot of points. Yeah,
well, obviously they were unbeaten at Anfield for however many games, and now they've lost at home to both Burnley and Brighton. So it's not great. Obviously, we saw Alisson. I think he was out with an illness. So Kelleher stepped in. I believe Alisson might be back for the weekend from what I read, but we'll see. And Fabinho may also be back. So potentially, just in time for Man City, they're starting to get a couple of players back. But it was just poor all round, and to be fair, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they've not been too bad at the back, to be honest. It's going forward where they've lacked real kind of inspiration.
Yeah, and weirdly, I think one of the biggest misses has been the fact that, see, Jordan Henderson has been filling in at centre-back. They're almost missing his kind of tenacity in midfield, in that drive to go forward.
I think that's a good shout. He's always shouting and screaming, directing players. And maybe his voice has been quietened a little bit by being at the back.
Yeah. And weirdly, people keep touching on it, but as good as Thiago is, Liverpool seem to have bought a player that whenever he plays, they don't win. Crazy. I'm pretty sure he's only won one game, and that was the game against West Ham in which he started.
Gonna have to stop playing him.
Yeah. Right, and then we'll move on to the last game of the game week, and that was a game that I told you, I texted you before about Sky, saying captain a Chelsea defender because they're going to keep a clean sheet, and they did. It was Spurs 0, Chelsea 1.
Thankfully, I did. I wasn't sure which one to go for, but I sort of had an inkling that I wanted to put it on Aspi. And yeah, solid performance from Chelsea. And again, Tottenham bereft of ideas.
So poor.
So poor. I mean, Planet FPL tweeted, obviously it's James, tweeted like no comment.
I don't blame him. He's had enough. And I'll plug it, but I wrote a bit of an article for Rob Pick for his Draft Gym article that he puts out weekly. And there was the debate about, are you going to bring in Son for game week 23 to captain him? And I wrote it before this game, saying no, because how poor it looked against Brighton, and I didn't expect an upturn, against Chelsea to satisfy that. And as it proves, Son again looked completely isolated, and I have no intention of bringing in Son for this week, even though it's the best fixture on paper. Nah, not touching them.
I mean, I'm going to be holding him, but I don't blame you, to be honest. If I was in your position, I wouldn't be hurrying to get him in. There's nothing I've seen that would make me want to bring him in.
No.
However, as I've been on him, and I've been on him for a while, and I know what he's capable of, I am not taking him out again of West Brom.
Well, I know full well he'll be your captain, so
we'll see.
Again, Chelsea looked. They didn't really have to do a lot, to be fair. They played well, I thought. Jorginho obviously took his pen well. Werner got the assist for it. I thought Werner was back on pens, but apparently not. And then the only real talking point was the fact that we saw Thiago Silva go off injured for Chelsea. I think Christensen came in. So he could be one to look at, depending on the extent of Thiago Silva's muscle injury.
So Zuma is injured, isn't he? He's not like that out of favour.
No, Zuma was he? I don't know.
Well, I think he is, because otherwise he'll be right behind even Christensen in the pecking order.
Yeah, that's maybe one to check, but it'll be interesting to see if Christensen is ahead of Zuma now. Who knows?
Yeah, it was on the Chatman stream. I think someone said he was injured. I think it's Talha Nadeem. So maybe it's just a case of him being injured as opposed to him being like fourth or fifth in the pecking order.
But I think that probably cements the point we were making earlier about the fact that maybe Aspie and Rudiger are like the two most nailed, because obviously we saw Reece James start this time and step into that right wing back slot, which meant Callum Hudson-Odoi played a little bit further forward. And then obviously Alonso played again, keeping Ben Chilwell out the team. And I think if Chelsea keep this system, it suits Alonso more than it does Chilwell.
It's cause for concern for Chilwell owners. You can't be having that amount of value sort of sat on your bench. I know we've got a lot of money in the bank now, but there's better players to be had than obviously someone that gets benched.
Exactly. And whilst we're on FPL, obviously we mentioned it at the start of the episode, but we've had a few double game week announcements, and I've got Ben Crellin's spreadsheet in front of me. The announcements are obviously that in game week 24, we have 4 doubles. So we've got Man City play both Tottenham and Everton. Everton play both Fulham and Man City. Burnley play Crystal Palace and Fulham play Everton and Burnley. And then in game week 25, there is the surprising additions of Southampton having a double against Chelsea and Leeds, and then Leeds having the double against Wolves and Saints.
Well, obviously a Man City double up is always tempting. I think that's the one you want to be having. Probably 3 City players.
Exactly. I'm already tripled up, so I'm happy with that. The fact I've got DCL, I don't think I'll move to another Everton, an Everton player. Fulham wise, obviously, like you said earlier, people have already got the likes of Lookman, Anguissa, Areola potentially, so I think they're all right. And for Burnley, it's Crystal Palace away and Fulham at home, with Palace not having Zaha potentially for that game. Possible clean sheets. I think people are going to target their defence, and I'll admit it now, I've already brought in Nick Pope.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Scares me a little bit, because I don't think I'll be doing the same.
I took out Johnston and brought in Nick Pope mainly because of that double, and then the fact that Burnley then play West Brom anyway in game week 25, and then they've got the possible double in 26. It feels more likely than West Brom's double. So
I understand the logic. I think it's a good move.
Yeah, we'll see.
Get sent in the first game.
Exactly. I think we're just waiting for, after the FA Cup fixtures next week, I believe we'll then probably know, or we will know, the blanks in game week 29, which is weird, but we'll know the blanks in 29 before we know the full doubles in 26. So it's a little bit complicated. And it's tricky because for those of us still with a wild card, when is the best time to wild card? Because I want a bench boost in 26 potentially, but I don't really want a wild card before that now, because then I'm going to screw myself for 29, which could be a shit fest of a blank. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think it does make sense to hold in your scenario, especially with the still having the bench boost. Obviously, I've used that chip, so maybe perhaps I can use my wild card earlier. But yeah, I think it's better to keep that in hand, especially with COVID. Anything could happen.
Yeah, I think the big thing is going to be knowing what those blanks are in 29, and whether they can then correlate to any doubles that we could hold players through.
Yeah, and it will obviously depend on your team shape, what teams you have in your players you have in your team at that point, because your team will inevitably change before then.
Massively. Right. Well, how did you get on in FPL this week, mate?
It cut out a little bit then. What did you just say?
How did you get on in FPL?
Yeah, I did okay. I got 66 points from a -4, which definitely paid off. I took out Lookman and Kane, and that allowed me to upgrade Lookman to Bruno Fernandes, who are somehow have gone ages without owning, and clearly brought him in at the right time because he'd been on a bit of a dry spell. And he's back in form against us with devastating effect.
I know, and the worry is like, I feel it was almost like a false kind of hole because, like I said, he had done fuck all for the first 5 goals, and then he goes and gets 17 points.
Yeah, I mean that just shows how strong he is in terms of bonus as well. He can just
massively
not play a part of the game and then come in at the last half an hour and take the glory.
Yeah, exactly. So where are you OR at the moment?
So yeah, I actually got a red arrow despite the 66 points, down from 443 to 554k.
People
sort of floating around there.
Yeah, a lot of people had red arrows with really good scores, and I think it just showed how close it was, particularly in and around the kind of 500, 600, 700k mark.
Oh, it really is. It's ridiculous. Like after that first night, I was on a red, and I was like, "But I've got Bruno. He's got 17 points."
Exactly. I got 80 points this week, which I was pretty happy with, and I think the main difference was the fact that I captained Cancelo instead of Salah. That was about it. But getting 80 points this week only saw me gain 20k in rank, so I went from 155 to 135 k. But again, it just highlights how close it was really this season.
Oh yeah, a real close game week.
Right, let's move on to Sky, and the very fact that this weekend is the last weekend before Overhaul. So obviously, immediately after that Leeds Crystal Palace game kicks off, you can start prepping your Overhaul teams, all the way through up until, I believe the first fixture is that Leicester-Liverpool game, the 12:30 kickoff on Saturday the 13th. So you've got 4 days to plan your Overhaul teams. And obviously right now you can make that third team as well. So there's a few third team leagues going around that I've seen. If you really wanted to, have a bit of fun, maybe try and win a bit of money, you can set that third team up at Overhaul and join some of those leagues.
I mean, it's worth a shot.
How did you get on in Sky then this week?
Very well. It's actually ironic with Overhaul coming up. I'm actually really happy with the state of my 2 teams. So, yeah, it's typical, isn't it? But yeah, 190 points in Team 1 and 205 in Team 2, which I'm obviously very happy with. Yeah. The defence in particular doing well for me. 5 at the back, 18 for Azpilicueta, 20 for Stones, 10 for Holding, 16 for Justin, and 20 for Diaz.
Justin and Aspie are massive for you there.
Oh yeah, huge. Bringing in Aspie for Harry Kane. Yeah. I had to do it because obviously otherwise I didn't have captaincy coverage for that game, but that's seen me have a rank rise up to 2.9k for Team 2.
Flying, mate.
And yeah, it's good. It's made a lot of progress. And even more progress has been made by Team 1, which was sort of in the doldrums of 26k, but now it's over the last few weeks, it's now 8.9k, which I'm quite happy with because it
genuinely think for both teams you should still be targeting a top 1k finish.
What, even Team 1, you think?
Yeah. If you can get the moves right, then I genuinely think you could get that team up to top 1k.
Well, I'll set that as my goal.
There's going to be so many dead teams, and obviously post Overhaul, people that have logged out of the game, they're not going to be able to make those changes. And I think you've got it in you to get the 1k. You've grasped it. You're making the right moves.
Yeah, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. How did you go?
So it's been a frustrating couple of weeks, which has really pissed me off. 2 moments in particular was the fact that day, like I said, when Salah was injured, I brought in Robertson, which meant I had to go 5 at the back is coverage. Salah then goes on holes the week later, and obviously I'm not on him. A lot of people captained him that day, and Robbo got me 5. And then that left me with the issue of not having Spurs or Chelsea coverage, so I had to bring in Son. because I had 5 at the back. And I really wanted to go a Chelsea defender. It was the right way to go. And obviously it's proven. People have got, the 18 from Aspi. You didn't even captain him, and you've got 18 across the 2 games.
I think.
Well, yeah. But I've seen people captaining like obviously Rudiger for the last couple of games and getting, 20 points each time. It's really frustrating because those 2 moves have cost me about 40 points. And it saw me drop down to 102 overall, which, I shouldn't be complaining about being 102nd, given it's my first season. I see people saying they've played for 2 or 3 seasons and have never been the top 100. So I can't complain, but it's frustrating given how well it was going to how badly it's gone in the last couple of weeks. So I'm hoping
it's understandable. But you've got to be kind to yourself. You have been smashing it this season. Just keep on doing what you're doing.
Well, exactly. And it's even more annoying because my second team, which obviously went out the cup, it now has 1 transfer left. Exactly. So I'm going to keep that 1 transfer. I'm not even going to make a move. I don't have coverage for the Leeds Crystal Palace game. I'm going to keep that 1 transfer just in case. I'm going to make an overhaul team that I think can, smash it. And I'm going to just see how well I can try and keep thereabouts. But I think that team's going to drop like a stone soon.
It probably will. No transfers, bless it.
In my main team, I'm happy with the amount of transfers that I've got. And if it starts to go well after overhaul, I might have to start keeping that team a bit quieter if it looks like it could, start to challenge. But we'll see. That's where the money is, right?
Very true. Now on to the nation's favourite game, Champman FPL.
Absolutely. It's the highlight of the week.
How did you get on that?
I did pretty well. I got my best game week rank this week of 41st, which saw me get 75 points. So I can't complain. I thought it was going to go so badly for a while when obviously Big Al had done fuck all, and I'd brought him in for Mark Viduka on basically a 1-week punt, threw the armband on him, and I thought, oh, please, please, please. And obviously I thought, oh no, it's 2 points. The red card, for Newcastle probably didn't help. But yeah, I got Jaskalainen, even though he conceded, got save points and bonus points, got me 6. Lauren continues to be really, really good in terms of keeping clean sheets for Arsenal, got 7. Sylvester Southgate, again, 9 and 7. Midfield, Hughes finally got a fucking return. Got 8 points from him. And then Arca got his goal, so I can't complain about that. 8 points. Christie actually returned for me for once. And then Shearer. Won't talk about Van Nistelrooy because, he blanked. But 75 points. How do you get on?
Not too bad. I've been fairly consistent in the last few weeks. 59 points for myself. Jaskalainen on 6, Ashley Cole on 7. The rest of my defense not getting too much in Hart, Delaney, and Tome. But returns for Cepeda and Boksic, a captaincy return for Shearer, and a Petkov assist. It's not too bad.
It's not bad.
No, a 7th green arrow in a row. They've been small green arrows, particularly this one. 3 places from 397 to 394. But it's progress.
Yeah, no, it is. That's true. I don't really know what to do about it this week because we've seen that Robbie Keane picked up an injury for Leeds. And I was targeting Leeds probably again. I was going to move straight back to Viduka. If Robbie Keane is out injured for a significant period of time, I'm very tempted by Alan Smith because I think it's proven in, Sims previously and people talk about the game. Smith goes absolutely mental when he gets starts in this game.
Well, then clearly worth a shout.
Yeah, I think that the stream at the weekend with the guys, I think that's going to be key to watch because it will come up in conversation. So I'm interested to see what they think. The other way I was looking is, Hughes, obviously I've held on for so long. I don't know whether I should just bench him next week. I think they're away to Liverpool. I think it's tough. or do I just take a hit and bring in the likes of Zepeda? Because Zepeda is pissing me off. Not owning that man and watching his name pop up on the video printer time and time again. Fucking annoying.
It's every week.
It is, honestly, every single week.
I had it up a couple of weeks ago, so I got him in and I've been enjoying it ever since.
Yeah, he's very much like a must own at the moment. And with Middlesbrough's fixtures, you know, they've got Ipswich away, then Chelsea home, Man United at home, Watford away. They've then arguably, to be fair, 17 to 20, they've got 4 away games in a row. So could be tough. But I just don't know. It's one to have a think about. I'm being punished, but at the same time managing to balance it out with Arca.
True. Yeah, you do forget about that.
Yeah. Right. Well, I think I'm going to have a proper look at my Champman team this weekend after the stream, after the scout leak. And I might take a hit, but we'll see. I don't like making it in Champman because it feels like, you know, where it's a sim, it's often not really worth it. Someone that could go mental that you don't really expect. So we'll see. Right. We've gone on for probably far too long, and I expect people are bored of our voices now. But let's jump on to, I think we've got 3 community questions this week. So first things first, talking about Champman, it's that fantasy football CM. But he's got an FPL question for us. Will expected ownership affect your thinking around the doubles? I read arrowed on 73 this week, like we said about, you know, people red arrowing with good scores, because I captained Salah based on EO, and I've never done that before. Was it the right call and just the wrong outcome?
It's a very good question. I think for the first part of the question, no. Expected ownership doesn't really come into my thinking. However, I'd say I do get influenced by FPL Twitter, not necessarily consciously, but I think it does seep through sort of into my unconscious decision making. But yeah, expected ownership isn't. I'm more than confident in like picking a player that's only owned by 5%. If I've got faith in him, if he's got a good track record, he's been in good form, that's more important to me than, oh, it's a risk not having some guy who's 30% owned. I like to focus on my own team rather than worry about other people's teams, personally.
Yeah, well, exactly. And for instance, in Sky, the expected ownership, like Bruno, for instance, is 99% owned, I think, in the top 1K now. You're not going to go against him because that could hurt you. And there's money involved in Sky. Whereas in FPL, I'm never going to win FPL. I mean, well, it's a 1 in 7 million chance. Like, and there's no money in it. You effectively, like they said on the Champman stream last night, you get a trip to Cornwall in, you know, a game. That's about what even is that? So that's why I went against Salah this week, because I wanted to just have a bit of fun and see if I could get a rank rise. And, you know, I did. I got 20 Quay rank rise. I wouldn't have got that rise had I captained Salah, because obviously he blanked. In hindsight, if Salah had gone mental, yeah, it would have hurt me more with his expected ownership. But like you say, I think with FPL, it doesn't really come into my thinking much anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. Hopefully that answers your question, mate. And good luck for planning for those doubles. Second question, again, a double game week question from Aratravo. With double game week 25 in mind, should I transfer in any Saints assets now? Now, obviously, Saints play Chelsea at home and Leeds away in game week 25.
For me, no. Personally, I don't think the double makes it worth it based on how weak our team is in terms of injuries at the moment.
No.
The only one I'd consider would be Ings. Other than that, stay away.
I was going to say exactly the same thing. I mean, I don't even think we might have the double for 26 confirmed before 25 deadline. We should. But say that becomes a double and you've maybe got the likes of DCL who might not double. Saints have got obviously Chelsea, Leeds to in week 25, and then in 26 we're away to Everton and away to Tottenham. So Danny Ings is probably the only one. I think he could score in those games. It all depends on whether, you know, Gineppo, Minamino, Redmond, that they're fit and firing alongside him. But other than that, wouldn't go near them at the moment, mate.
And even then, Ings might not even play both games due to his injury record.
Yeah, there's always a risk. I'll go last question in from FPL Buddy. should we now look at differential captain picks from now on, after the popular captain picks recently have gone on to blank this season?
I'd say these sort of events are more uncommon. I think the general successful strategy is to go for those sort of big value, big scorer players. I think over the long run, it does make more sense to captain the likes of, say, Salah, Kevin De Bruyne, Bruno Fernandes, than switching from risky punt to risky punt. Yeah, it'll pay off in 1 week, but it'll often backfire as well.
Yeah, I think there are weeks to do it and then there are weeks to not. And for instance, I think this week could be the week to do it because arguably, yes, Son is probably going to be one of the most captain players because, if people have got him, you're going to captain him against West Brom. Well, most likely. Maybe not amongst the community now that we've watched the games, but there will be casual players that throw the armband on them. They see West Brom. Whereas I think there are better options this week. Bamford, Crystal Palace, Antonio against Fulham. Bruno, yeah, he's going to be most captain probably against Everton. Even the likes of Rafinha, could be good captaincy shouts this week. So for me, yeah, there are weeks to do it and there are weeks to not. And it's about jumping on those gambles that you want and then hoping that they return against the likes of, Salah, for instance, this week blanking. So yeah, it's a tricky one, but why not? Why not go for it? Right. Well, exactly. And on that positive note, good luck for the game week, everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you once again, James, and hopefully far better result for Saints this weekend than it has been the last 2 weeks.
Oh, I should hope so. I don't think it can get much worse than that, I'm afraid.
Absolutely not. Well, on that note, it's a goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.
Cheers, guys.